I spent 40 years building my life with my own hands. Then one afternoon, my own daughter stood silently while her husband smashed one of my solid oak dining chairs into my face and demanded my house. They thought they had defeated an old man. What they didn't know was that I had already planned for everything they were about to do. By the time they understood the truth, their lives were already falling apart. My name is Leon. I am 69 years old. For most of my life, I believed that hard work and honesty earned respect. I built one of the largest commercial plumbing companies in my state, even after becoming wealthy. I never lived like a rich man. I drove an old pickup truck. I wore simple work clothes. I kept my money private because my late wife always said that real wealth never needed to be shown. Suddenly, my daughter forgot that lesson after she married Brad. Brad judged people by expensive suits and luxury cars. He looked at my old truck and believed I was just an ordinary retired plumber. One afternoon, my daughter and Brad arrived at my house carrying expensive luggage without asking. They announced they were moving in. Brad looked around the living room as if he already owned it. "We're taking the master bedroom," he said. "You can stay in the basement." I looked at both of them and quietly answered with one word, "No." Brad's face turned red with anger. He called me an old laborer who knew nothing about business or success. Then he grabbed one of my late wife's favorite oak dining chairs. Without warning, he threw it directly at me. The chair exploded against my face. I fell backward as blood ran down my cheek. Broken pieces of wood covered the floor. I looked at my daughter, hoping she would help me. Instead, she blamed me. "You shouldn't have made him so angry." At that moment, the pain from my injuries meant nothing. The real pain came from realizing I had already lost my daughter long before that day. I didn't argue. I quietly left my home. I drove to the emergency room. While doctors stitched the cut on my face, I sent one short message to my attorney. "Phase 1 is complete. Call the police." What Brad didn't know was that every room inside my house was protected by professional security cameras. As I recovered, I watched the live video on my phone. Brad sat comfortably in my favorite chair drinking wine from my private collection as though he already owned everything. Only a few minutes later, police officers arrived. They entered the house. They arrested Brad for seriously assaulting an elderly man. My neighbors watched as he was led outside in handcuffs. His expensive suit couldn't protect him from the law. Instead of apologizing, my daughter called me. She begged me to tell the police that my injuries had been an accident. She even threatened never to speak to me again if I refused. I calmly told her the decision was no longer mine. The state was now prosecuting the case. As investigators looked deeper into Brad's life, they found much more than a violent assault. He owed enormous amounts of money. His luxury apartment was close to foreclosure. The tax authorities were investigating him for hundreds of thousands of dollars in unpaid taxes. Everything suddenly made sense. They had never wanted to take care of me. They wanted my house because it was the only thing that could save Brad from financial disaster. A few weeks later, my daughter returned. This time she cried. She baked my late wife's favorite dessert. She apologized for everything. Then she placed several legal papers in front of me. She claimed signing them would help repair our family. Hidden inside the documents was a power of attorney that would have given her complete control over all of my money. I pretended to believe her. I signed the papers using disappearing ink. A few hours later, she proudly walked into my bank expecting to take control of my accounts. Instead, the bank manager looked at the document. The signature had completely disappeared. Security immediately stopped her. Police were called to investigate attempted fraud. Brad became even more desperate. He hired a dishonest psychiatrist to declare me mentally unfit. During the interview, I acted confused while secretly recording every conversation. Before leaving, The psychiatrist laughed and admitted Brad had paid him $10,000 to write a false medical report. That single recording destroyed both of their plans. As my attorney continued investigating, the truth became even darker. Brad had created fake companies. He had hidden money overseas. He had falsified financial records. Worst of all, he had secretly placed many illegal accounts under my daughter's name without telling her. He was fully prepared to let her take the blame if everything collapsed. That was the moment I stopped trying to protect my daughter from the consequences of her choices. Instead, I focused on protecting her from the man who had manipulated her. Every piece of evidence was handed to federal investigators. Soon afterward, tax agents raided Brad's office. His bank accounts were frozen. His fake business empire collapsed almost overnight. His reputation disappeared just as quickly. Cornered and desperate, Brad made one final mistake. He edited my home security footage to make it look as though I had attacked him and my daughter. Then, he tried to blackmail me. He demanded that I sign over my house if I wanted the fake video to stay hidden. I calmly agreed. Brad celebrated. He believed he had finally won. What he didn't realize was that every meeting, every document, every phone call, and every threat had already been carefully recorded. The house had never been the real prize. The evidence was, when the court cases finally ended, Brad faced criminal charges for assault, fraud, financial crimes, and tax violations. His business disappeared. His fortune disappeared. His future disappeared. My daughter finally learned the truth. Brad had lied to her from the beginning. He had used her name to hide illegal money. To him, she had never been a wife. She had simply been another tool. As for me, I never celebrated. I walked quietly through my home and looked at the photographs of my late wife. She had always been right. People who judge others because of rough hands eventually discover that those same hands built everything they were trying to steal.